All right, so we've already identified our candidates. We've already sent an initial connection. We've already had our au pairs reach out and contact and interview them. Now it's our turn to talk to them. And this interaction typically is a 20 to 30 minute conversation. And in this conversation, we just basically go through all of the things on their profile that are important things to us. And we make sure that what they're answering is not only consistent with their profile, but is what is important to us in terms of an ideal candidate. It's just our first interaction with them to gauge their English level, kind of their personality and energy level, to really get a good understanding of why they want to do this program, their experience with children, and what their goals are after this program is over. Second interview with them, but the au pair's technical third interview, if that makes sense, if you're following that chain of thought. And in this interview, now we're going to invite our children in. Here is where we're really gonna gauge how do these candidates interact with the kids. Are they really asking the kids questions? Do they want to know about the kids? I can't always guarantee that my kids are going to want to sit down and talk on FaceTime for a long time, but I do try to make sure to set my kids up for success by letting them know what's going to happen and keeping the amount of time that I want them to stay to be very realistic. It may only be 5 minutes or so. But I just want to kind of see, how does this candidate really do around my children? How well do they understand each other language-wise? That's an important thing. Children can get really frustrated if their caregiver doesn't understand them or they don't understand the caregiver. So those are important things. I really want to see if this candidate is asking questions that are very specific to our children. Schedules, activities, food, favorite games or toys, those sorts of things, any allergies, things that tell me that they're experienced enough as a child care provider that they're already trying to formulate in their head how they would structure their day and what type of the things that they would cook or do or be responsible for this particular child. So that's something really important. And shockingly, not many candidates do that. They're more focused just on meeting the family, having a pleasant interaction, maybe asking about the area or their living situation, and they neglect to really ask very specific details about the children. So that really is important to me. And if by the second interview, I haven't seen that, that does start to become a concern or a problem. All right, so now we are on to my husband and I's third interview with this au pair. Now, depending on how long our conversations have been, what our interactions between interviews have been in terms of messaging on WhatsApp and follow-up communications that they've had with our previous au pairs and ourselves, on occasion, we will extend an invite to join our family either on this third interview or this fourth interview. And the third and fourth interview, they really are just more getting to know you. Often on the third interview, if we haven't met the family on the second interview, we do ask if we can meet the au pair candidate's family. We think it is so important to really understand who raised this person and what are their thoughts about them joining this program. Is the family supportive of the program or is the family not supportive? Because that can have an impact on the experience that the au pair has while they're living with us. If they have a family that really doesn't want them to do this, they may be a little miserable because they feel torn, like they should be home doing something else and they're not supported by their family. So it's important for us to know that. It's also important because I'm a parent, I want that family to know who we are and to know that their child is going somewhere that is safe and that we're responsible people and we're gonna take care of them and we're gonna treat them well. That is so important for an au pair's happiness and their family's happiness to know. Now, often these families don't speak English and we will have to have the au pair translate for us, and that's okay. I think there's a lot that you can still learn from families and letting them be able to ask you you questions and you asking them questions. Even if there's a translator that doesn't have the strongest English, I still think it's a really important exercise to getting to know that au pair and to making sure it's a good match with their family. So after that interaction, so now we've had our au pair interview, we've had our initial interview, we've had our kids interview, we've had a family interview, then that's typically when we will extend an invitation. Because by that time, we really have ensured to the best of our ability that this candidate is going to be a good fit with our family. There's always a chance that we could have completely gauged and judged wrong. But again, with all of those interactions, plus the time that we spend WhatsApping between the meetings, we typically get a good gauge for this candidate, and we have good confidence in extending an invite. So what happens next? You've interviewed, you've matched with the candidate, you've hit that match button online. What happens next? Well, the next thing that happens is after you hit that match, you'll be contacted, or you will contact your area director or your local child care consultant, your AD or LCC, depending on what the agency calls them, and let them know that you've matched. Sometimes it's a placement coordinator, so you may hear all these names interchangeably. And when that happens, they will typically ask for a deposit, and this is where you will be expected for the very first time in this process to put a financial payment in. So it's not a large one, and there's all different options out there with payment plans. You can pay it all up front, you can do it divided up. There's not a right or wrong, it's whatever's best for your family, but that is kind of what happens next. All right, so after you've matched with the agency basically starts working on all of the paperwork that's required for the visa. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that you don't really see, and it may seem a little quiet from time to time to the agency, but just keep in touch with your candidate. Make sure you're WhatsApping them. Make sure that you're having video chats with them intermittently. It doesn't have to be as frequent as it was when you were interviewing with them, but still make sure that they know that they're important to you and you want to continue to know more about them and you want to continue to develop your relationship so that when they come to your home, it's not a stranger coming in, it's someone that you already know. But they will contact the au pairs, and the au pairs have to do all of their visa process and that sort of thing. As it gets closer to time, the agency will let you know about flight information, about if the academies are going again. They've been doing virtual training academies, but if they're going live, what the dates for those academies will be, and what date you can expect the au pair to arrive to your house. So that's a process as an overview. I hope that's helpful to kind of understand from identifying that you want an au pair, identifying what you want in an au pair, finding au pair candidates, interviewing au pair candidates, matching, and then what happens after matching. So I hope just kind of understanding that process is helpful. If you have questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. I would love to engage with you all. Again, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I can't wait to see you next time. Take care.